Dobry wieczór. Tutaj William. Witajcie na cotygodniowym podsumowaniu polskich wiadomości ze William Murphy. We've a lot to cover this week, as we didn't have a news update last week, due to my interview with Maciek Nieumann-Kochanski of Gory.pl. Major developments in Poland over the past fortnight have included: the new government formally takes office, and the United Right sees its first major policy disagreement of the new term, leading to the withdrawal of a proposal to remove the income cap on social security contributions. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki stresses the importance of normality in his policy address to Parliament. Małgorzata Kidawa-Błońska and Poznan Mayor Jacek Jaśkowiak are set to battle it out for Platforma Obywatelska's presidential nomination. And the European Court of Justice returns the final decision in a case involving the judicial reforms to Poland's Supreme Court. Following the announcement of the new cabinet, which we previously covered, the formal swearing-in ceremony took place on Friday the 15th, and the following Tuesday, the reappointed Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, outlined his government's policy priorities in an address to Parliament. That address was followed by a speech to the same from Prawo i Sprawiedliwość chairman Jarosław Kaczyński, which was probably fitting, given where political power in Poland really lies. Albeit it gave the opposition the chance to query which address they were meant to reply to. The government subsequently won a confidence vote in the lower house by 237 votes to 214, with 3 abstentions. In his speech, Morawiecki stressed the importance of normality in terms of Poland being the best place to live in Europe, a Poland of everyday normality, prosperity, and peace on the streets and on its borders. The Prime Minister promised to simplify the taxation system and to do more for small and medium-sized businesses. He dwelt on the importance of family values and pledged that his government would prevent the outbreak of any cultural war in Poland. He said that whoever raises an ideological hand against children will be raising a hand against the whole community. The policy address was interesting in that it crystallised the ways in which Prawo i Sprawiedliwość is not a typical Western European right-of-centre party, especially in terms of economic policy, and why it's often termed a national conservative party. Morawiecki pledged to continue to expand the government's welfare programmes, credited by many observers for their re-election victory, with more help for parents with 3 or more children, and to strengthen the role of the state. He said the government would continue increasing the share of Polish ownership of domestic companies. Despite ongoing conflicts with various European institutions about the very subject, Morawiecki pledged to implement further judicial reforms without specifying any particular measures. Responding for the main opposition, Grzegorz Kicznia claimed the government was set to continue with what he termed its ineptitude, law-breaking, violation of democratic principles, brutal propaganda and lies. Of course, outlining policy priorities is one thing, while implementing them is another. Already, we've had the first instance of a government policy proposal having to be withdrawn in the face of disagreement within the Zjednoczona Prawica, or United Right bloc. The government's majority depends on the support of Prawo i Sprawiedliwości's 2 coalition partners, Jarosław Gowin's Porozumienie or Agreement Party and Zbigniew Ziobro's Solidarna Polska or United Poland Party. Porozumienie were opposed to Prawo i Sprawiedliwości's plan to raise additional revenue by removing the income cap on social security contributions. Currently, payments are only required up to the point someone reaches 30 times the average wage. Porozumienie is regarded as the most business-friendly component of the ruling coalition. Without their 18 same deputies, Prawo i Sprawiedliwość lacked the numbers to pass it. They considered attempting to get the measure through with the support of Lewica, which agrees with the principle of removing the cap. However, Lewica moved to introduce a proposal of its own. The measure was expected to bring in over 5 billion zlotys in additional revenue. Its abandonment has made it more difficult for the government to achieve their goal of a balanced budget next year. The government has also faced criticism from the opposition in the Sejm and disability rights campaigners for how it plans to finance the so-called 13th pension, taking it from a fund previously labelled exclusively for those with disabilities. The government has moved to reduce social insurance contributions for small firms as part of an effort to encourage entrepreneurship. Under plans announced by Prime Minister Morawiecki, businesses whose monthly before-tax income doesn't exceed 10,000 zloty and whose after-tax earnings don't exceed 6,000 zloty will benefit from savings of up to 500 zloty in contributions to ZUS every month. The row over lifting the ZUS contribution limit highlighted the fact that a formal coalition agreement hasn't been in place since the end of the previous government's term. On Monday, Deputy Prime Minister Govan said the coalition agreement between the three parties would be signed this week. Nowoczesna, or Modern in English, one of the smaller opposition parties that form part of the Koalicja Obywatelska alliance in the recent general election, has a new leader. Adam Szapka was elected after Katarzyna Lubnauer resigned at a party convention last Sunday, taking responsibility for the general election defeat. Nowoczesna was formed by Richard Petru in 2015. He was replaced as party leader by Lubnauer in 2017. She told the party that, "We have survived the most difficult time, we have representation in local government and in parliament, but we lost the European and general elections as a party and as a coalition." The deadline for nominations in the contest to be Platforma Obywatelska's presidential candidate to oppose Andrzej Duda next May closed at midnight last Tuesday. Nominations had to be submitted with the supporting signatures of at least 30 members of the party's National Council. Up until the close of nominations, it was thought there would likely be only one contender. The Deputy Parliamentary Speaker and Koalicja Obywatelska Prime Ministerial candidate in the recent general election, Małgorzata Kidawa-Błońska, who had previously declared her willingness to stand in a primary election. The following day, the Mayor of Poznan, Jacek Jaśkowiak, confirmed that he too has submitted a nomination, meaning both he and Kidawa-Błońska will go forward to a primary election in December. Two other opposition politicians, whose names had been mentioned as potential candidates, former Health Minister Bartosz Arłukowicz and former Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, opted not to stand. Of course, the question of an opposition candidate or candidates for the election isn't all about Platforma Obywatelska. Polish People's Party leader Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz has said he's standing unless a stronger, united opposition candidate emerges, and has been pushing for a primary election involving the wider opposition, not just Platforma Obywatelska. Prawo i Sprawiedliwość have reaffirmed their support for the re-election of President Duda, who's expected to seek a second term. Lewica are also expected to field a candidate in the first round, as is Konfederacja. As widely forecast, since our last update, Donald Tusk has been formally elected as President of the European People's Party at their party congress in Zagreb. He had previously ruled himself out of the 2020 presidential election. Last week, the European Court of Justice delivered a long-awaited ruling in a case over the Polish judicial reforms, this time involving the independence of the disciplinary chamber of the Supreme Court. The court essentially returned the question to Poland, saying it was up to the Supreme Court itself to determine the question of whether the disciplinary chamber is independent and should be hearing disputes about the retirement of Supreme Court justices. Chief Justice Małgorzata Gersdorf responded by saying that while the court could deliver judgments on a case-by-case basis, it was preferable for the government and parliament to pass legislation to correct what she claimed were the faulty regulations, the existence of which had been confirmed by the ruling. In light of her comments, the newly elected Marshal of the opposition-controlled Senate, Tomasz Grodzki, said he might introduce legislation in the upper chamber to do just that. Just as the Artur Selmer extradition case appears to have concluded, another interesting judicial case with a Polish connection has emerged, this time involving the Northern Ireland courts. Last Friday, it was reported that a Polish man, resident in Northern Ireland, is taking a challenge to the European Court of Justice against a court decision that he must pay child maintenance based on a ruling issued by a Polish court in 1999, 5 years before Poland joined the European Union. The man, who has been granted anonymity and is referred to as TKF, had been ordered to pay £83.55 per month until his son finishes full-time education. He's divorced and has lived in Northern Ireland since 2006. He launched judicial review proceedings against the Clerk of Petty Sessions for Belfast and Newtown after the Polish maintenance decisions were registered and declared enforceable in Northern Ireland in 2013. The to date undecided legal point is whether such orders made in member states prior to their accession are enforceable. The man's solicitor, Colin McGarity, said that with a hearing due before the end of the year, it could well be one of the last cases from the United Kingdom to be heard in the European Court. At least judging by the latest opinion polls in the UK general election, he could well be right. Finally, a reminder to all our listeners, especially those Poles who now hold Irish citizenship and are eligible to vote in Dáil elections. By-elections take place in 4 constituencies this Friday to fill vacancies arising from the election of now former TDs to the European Parliament last May. So, if you're registered to vote in Cork North Central, Dublin Fingal, Dublin Midwest or Wexford, do make sure to cast your vote. Voting takes place from 7 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, so you've really no excuse. Toshesco na Chinchidjan. Zapraszam na kolejne podsumowanie Chinchidjan o tym samym proje. Dobranoc.